but Israel has been attacking southern Syria for the last several days. I can pull something up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, Netanyahu, there was a AIPAC congressional meeting in downtown DC at the Marriott. A lot of it was sort of off the record, private. I'm working on getting some info on what actually transpired there. But Netanyahu delivered a speech. Let me see if I can find the video of it.
Well, as you're looking, here's a video of Israel bombing, as it always does. This isn't anything new. They do this regularly with total impunity, bombing around Damascus. And what they've basically done is they've declared that the new Syrian government should not deploy its forces south of Damascus. Israel's laying claim to just a huge swath of territory inside of Syria. They've already taken some positions. They did that immediately after Assad was overthrown. They took Mount Hermon. They've taken more villages. Now they're claiming even more. Basically, Netanyahu is declaring himself to be the new ruler of parts of Syria, along with the former Al-Qaeda, ISIS leader, al-Julani, who's currently the president.
Yeah. Here it is. No, it's not. I don't have it right in front of me, but Netanyahu at AIPAC basically declared that he will take Mount Hermon and that everyone should visit it. It's a great place to visit. This is the highest point in Syria. It is Syrian territory according to the UN resolution passed at the cessation of hostilities in the 73 war. It's a complete violation of international law. And Israel has been bombing rampantly in southern Syria. And what has Jolani been doing? And what have his supporters been doing to counter this? It's pretty clear that they haven't fired a single shot, not a single shot against Israel as it takes more and more Syrian territory. They might not be able to. Here's one thing they did do. They attacked Syrians. They've been attacking lots of Syrians from different sects. They attacked the Sayyida Zainab shrine in Damascus. This is a holy Shia shrine that's right in Damascus's old city. And they replaced the custodians and jailed them. And replace them with their own stooges. This is what Jolani's busy doing. And it's the Syria that Netanyahu wants. Here's something else they were doing while Netanyahu was preparing to attack Syrian territory. This was on the day of Hassan Nasrallah's funeral in Beirut. These are the supporters of Mohammed Jolani, aka Ahmed al-Sharaa, the so-called president of Syria, who controls a minority of Syrian territory now, who was installed through a military junta controlled basically by Turkey. And they have an effigy of Hassan Nasrallah's corpse, and they're going to throw it to the crowd to rip into pieces. This is while they're not doing a single thing, lifting a finger to resist Israel. They are throwing a figure to be torn apart by the crowd who dedicated his life to resisting Israel. I mean, that should tell you everything about the quote unquote new Syria. And everyone who supported that, especially within the world of Palestine solidarity, who supported regime change in Syria, should just be totally shamed right now. A lot of them just don't want to talk about it anymore. They just want to move on. But it was obvious that this was going to be the result and that Netanyahu and Israel would take advantage of it. And removing Syria from the resistance axis also means that the flow of arms and supplies to Hezbollah is complicated, if not cut off. That was part of the design. And the idea that the Syrian government under Assad did nothing against Israel. Well, who was attacking the surface-to-air missile systems of Syria? It was the so-called rebels sponsored by the West, Turkey, and Qatar. It was the rebels who destroyed over 50% of Syria's anti-aircraft capacity, which allowed Israel to attack by air. And in fact, in 2018, an Israeli jet was downed by the Syrian Arab army through 1970s era Soviet-made surface-to-air missile. So they were doing something. They were also hosting Hezbollah, IRGC, and Palestinian factions. And now that's all gone.
When Hezbollah defeated Israel or stopped Israel's in the 2006 summer Israeli attack on Lebanon, Syria was an integral part of that because they were providing a land bridge through which Hezbollah could get weapons. And that's why the Bush administration ramped up regime change efforts against Syria in the aftermath of that, is because the Assad government played a part in stopping Israel from destroying even more of Lebanon than it did in summer 2006. And Israel suffered a defeat ultimately because they couldn't destroy Hezbollah. And that's why, if you look, shortly after that, that's when Seymour Hersh wrote an article in the New Yorker called The Redirection, which was about how the Bush administration was accelerating its regime change efforts in Syria. And that was the main reason, is because Syria was integral to defeating Israel. And that's why it was marked for regime change. And that's why when the reality of Syria became obvious what was going on, it wasn't about what your personal opinion of the Assad government is. And it doesn't deny all the grievances people in Syria had with the Assad government. The question is, do you want to be siding with Israel and the U.S. in destroying a sovereign country? And do foreign states have the right to flood countries they don't like that undermine their hegemony, in the case of Syria, with tens of billions of dollars worth of weapons to destroy the country, to make the state not functional? And that's what has happened in Syria. And yeah, many people who should have known better were duped into cheering that on, long after the reality, like reality became impossible to deny. And for good reason, those same people don't want to talk about what's happening right now inside Syria, because they help bring that to be. Someone like Owen Jones, for example, a British pundit, cheered on the regime change and is now outraged that Israel is attacking Syria. Okay, well, good for being outraged now, but were you outraged when Israel was attacking Syria before, bombing Syria hundreds of times, literally, which helped pave the way for the very regime change that people like him cheered on?
Yeah, I can think of a lot of other names.
Yeah.
And it feels like punching down sometimes.
Yeah.
But not with Owen Jones. Mehdi Hassan always comes up.
Yeah.
What's that guy from Drop Site? I always forget about him. I forgot his. Anyway, yeah. There's U.S. troops in northeast Syria. Trump has wanted to get them out. It's going to be much harder for the U.S. occupation of northeast Syria to end with the Israelis in southwestern Syria, and with the Israelis basically tempting Syrians to attack them. If there is any conflict, they'll say the U.S. is leaving and they're leaving us exposed. They're leaving Israel's security exposed. And we need this buffer zone. So Netanyahu's move is also directed, I think, at the United States to compel them to continue occupying Syria, occupying Syria's gas and oil fields, occupying Syria's breadbasket, its wheat fields. This is another effect of regime change. And Trump sort of had to deny that he planned to end the U.S. occupation, where there are thousands of troops, 2,000 troops at least, twice as many as we previously knew were there. And this is also a tripwire. It's a tripwire for Iran to start conflict with Iran, moving closer into Iran's compromising Iran's immediate strategic depth.